Pablo, I'm going to try to leave all the technical X's and O's stuff behind. You had, in that last game, you had the other team trapped in their half of the field for like 45 straight minutes. Was it something you were doing that got them sucked in so deep, or was it more like grit, energy, the fact there was so much pressure on winning the ball, they all went to help, and that created it? Was it more of the...
Again, I think when we're playing the way we'd like to play, it looks like that over the period of the half. So I go back to the LAFC games. Second half of LSC at home and the first half of LAFC away from home looked very similar, where we had them pinned in. I think this was a bit more exaggerated. But the other part, too, is not only getting them pinned in, but creating good opportunities from that. And it took 44 minutes of constant pressure for them to then, because again, you have to be flawless when you're playing in front of your goal. And that's my biggest hurdle with defending close to my goal, is because penalty kicks, deflections, everything works against you. And then when you're behind it, how do you get out of that shell? You haven't had any of the ball. So I think it's more psychological than anything else, is pinning our opponents in their half.
So was there more grit and determination, I guess, in this most recent game than maybe we'd seen in a while?
No, I would say the fact that they didn't have Bawanga and Son on the counterattack was the difference in this game.
That's the game. Okay. So how much does the team keen up the Loyola Tunde defense?
Very much so. I think he's been a really good presence. And one of the things that we've been working on too is being okay, not having the ball, but being in a good shape. And there were some really good spells in the game where we could have gotten pressure on the ball, but the guys were a bit tired. We didn't want to open ourselves up, and we just let them have the ball for a minute and a half. And I think that's really, really important too. And so when Victor goes, we all have to go. That's our principle. One goes, we all go. And so it's just understanding the moment and seeing, understanding where this moment has come from. Have we been defending a long time? Has the game been transitional? And so we take our cues off the guys up front, but I think as a collective, we did a good job being patient in our defending block in this game.
Like a pitcher changing speeds or an NFL offense changing tempo, going hurry up and then not. Does it matter a lot to go, to not go, as opposed to going all the time? Does that also become easier to handle?
Yeah, no, that's a good point. I think the way I like to see the game played, it's like we're always going. But there's also an understanding that the guys do fatigue. And if we don't get it right, now we expose ourselves defensively. So I think this is a bit more evolved for our group to be okay not having the ball. And I think you saw in this game too, is Diego and Diogo doing a really good job of connecting with our pivots and forming two banks of four, which is really important for this game.
I know it's the same position, but just putting Diego in when Gozo is gone, does that change a lot about the tempo the team plays at and the way they play, even though it's just one player?
Yeah, you mean Diogo.
I mean, putting Diogo in. Yeah, putting Diogo in for Gozo, changing a lot.
It changes a lot. And I think it changes our understanding of the game and when to press, for example, how to press. And then with the ball, the calm that Diogo brings. So I think you're talking about experience is the biggest factor there, and understanding the moments of the game, which Diogo has in spades.
And Diogo seems a lot more willing to go inside, whereas Gozo is more predictably go, press, back press, go, back press.
So that was a tactical adjustment that we made, given that we have Diego and Diogo, and then we have two strikers. So it's a little bit like we played a couple games a few weeks back when it was Diego, and it was Goz and Willie, kind of before Victor and Juan. And so the idea is Diogo operates best in a central channel. So whilst we want to defend the same way, how do we do that? And it's just a rotation with our pivot dropping in, our outside back going forward, and Diogo coming inside, which doesn't serve Gozo to play an interior position. He's a wide threat in the depth and back press kind of guy.
Yeah. Does it feel like a playoff game going into Colorado? And has it felt like that for a while?
It's felt like that. Yeah, I mean, what was that? What was the SKC game? Playoff game. These LAFC games, playoff games. This last game, playoff game. You got to win. Same story. Nothing changes, So I think what was good, I think, is that the feeling that we had during the week of training heading into this last game was a bit edgy. And the response at the weekend was awesome. So it's really about building off that.
So that edgy. they kept that edgy this week.
Yeah.
That's something.
I felt it today as well. And I think the other part too is like when you have confidence, you see it in nuanced things. It's not going to be anything about soccer I'm going to tell you about. But in between exercises, you see groups of 3 or 4 players talking about a tactical adjustment that they should make in their 11s to negate what the opponent is doing. And so for me, I'm looking at that. I'm looking at that. That is belief. That is commitment. Because when things aren't going well and you don't believe, it's 11 guys walking in different directions. But when you have a performance like we did at the weekend, the edginess is still there. They're the ones solving problems, right? And I think that's a really important thing. Visual cue for me.
Good for me.
I have it smashed.
I just wanted to. This is a little bit of, kind of esoteric and it's a little bit more developmental, but one of the guys that's sort of on the edges of the roster right now, and Jesus, is doing some pretty amazing things with the Monarchs at the moment, and they're, in the thick of the playoffs and kind of getting ready for that. I guess the two-parter is, have you noticed what Jesus is doing kind of down at that level with the Monarchs and kind of keeping an eye on him? And does that play into sort of how you deal with him, as like you don't really want to take him out of a great situation to kind of be one of those sort of fringe guys, I guess, for lack of a better term for you?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. Obviously, I watched the games and he's done a fantastic job. And I don't think we've had a double-digit score in the Monarchs in a few years.
Yeah, it's been a minute.
And so I think, and he trained with us last week. And so my conversation with him was, heading into this weekend was, and I talked to him, I can bring you into the group. There's a possibility you might play for us at the weekend. Slim possibility.
Sure.
Or you can continue to run a form that you're on, go with the Monarchs, continue to build that, understanding that whenever their season ends, you come back with us, carry on where you left off, but more importantly, thinking more into 2026 and what he's been able to do and the foundation that he's built in place.
Yeah.
It feels really comforting for myself and I'm sure front office to be like, we can count on this guy to give us significantly more minutes, possibly compete for a starting spot heading into next year. So I think it's more art than science. I think in this moment, what he's doing is building this belief in himself, this confidence within himself, and we feel that when he comes up to the first team. And so don't want to just keep him with us because he's doing well and might play 15, 10 minutes, whatever that looks like, versus continuing to establish himself, make a run in the playoffs, and hopefully win the whole thing with the Monarchs, and then join our group. But everything that he does is recognized, and more importantly, how that translates to when he trains with our first team and competes with our first team guys has been really good.
Yeah, it sounds like there's a value in a rookie kind of learning how to be the guy, like kind of the guy on a team, even if it's at a quote unquote lower level. Right?
It's huge. It's huge because again, I think he knows the responsibility he carries for that particular team, and I think that type of leadership required there is essential into becoming a really good player with the first team. And I think when you feel that pressure and you're still performing, that's what pro sports are all about. And he's done a great job of it.
Hablabas el sábado que cada de estos últimos 3 juegos iban a ser rondas finales. Entonces, ¿qué justificaría este sábado si el resultado no se da? ¿Cómo que eso justificaría al equipo? The last 3 finals, you talk about the last 3 finals, without having a good result, how would you justify that game on Saturday?
This last game or this
coming game? What would be like
the reasoning behind it? What could possibly go wrong that you would foresee?
I think we talked about this. I don't think like that.
Yeah.
I think we're going to win games. I don't justify, and the only thing I have to justify is the work that we do and the group that we select based upon the work that we do. I don't think about games, and I've never thought about losing a game. Even though we lose games, why? Because the referee makes a decision, because the ball hits the post and goes out instead of hitting the post and go in. Because the shot that Brian Ojeda had wasn't deflected and the goalie catches it. Because the goal that DeAndre scored, he kicks it over instead of kicking it in the net. And the ball that Olatunji, it bounced up at the last second, so he was able to hit it in. The myriad and the million different factors you need to win games is never talked about. But you see it in all sports and all things. So for us, it's about preparation, it's about mindset, it's about understanding tactics. And I say this after every game, it's about making plays, right? So this last game, we made plays in our defending box, around the box, good defending plays. More importantly, we made 3 amazing attacking plays. Now, we didn't draw those plays up. Those aren't plays that we go in and go, this is how it's going to go in. We don't do that. We talk about our principles, talk about how we can exploit their back line, and the players made fantastic plays this weekend, and that's why we won the game. The expectations for me against Colorado is we're going to do the same thing. Now, is it going to happen? Who knows? There's a million different factors that go into winning games, but that's the mindset. I don't think about losing games or justifying to anyone about why we didn't win. We do the work. It's about being present, not thinking about